So what are the 5 pillars? First one, we got exercise, hydration, nutrition, sleep, and meditation. I'm gonna break every single one of these down one by one. So let's get right into it. These 5 pillars are about the good that you put in your life. These are positive things that you can do, and the impact of them is freaking profound. But you will never know them in theory because you actually have to do these things to actually feel the change within your system every single time that you participate in them. One of the biggest reasons why you should do exercise is because it's hard. Because guess what? Life's not easy. And if you do things that are hard, you become better, you become stronger. And exercise can be one of those things that you can just use every single day to get past that voice in your head that wants to complain, that wants to stay in bed, that wants to just chill and watch TV and eat Cheetos and not do shit. But you can go out and get yours and put yourself in a better mood by just moving your body. Here are a few things to keep in mind if you want to think about exercising and how you would add that pillar to your daily life. The first thing is you got to make it fun, right? For me, it's weightlifting, right? I love working out. Bodybuilding was one of the best things that I did for myself in my late teens and early 20s, but that may not be the case for you. And that's okay. You get to pick what you do for exercise. And the best thing is you could try different things until you like the pattern or the routine that fits your lifestyle. So you could go running, you could go biking, you could go hiking, you could do anything, swimming, whatever works for you. Maybe it's just running around with your kids or taking your dog for extra walks. You got to start with where you're at, but you got to make it fun. Here's the thing. I know I said you got to make it fun, but the thing is when you get into the gym or something that's difficult because you're going to push yourself through it, it's not going to be easy, but that's the thing. You're pushing yourself to do the hard thing. And when you do that, you end up growing because you don't grow if things are all comfortable and easy and nice and smooth. All right. You grow when shit's hard, bumpy, rough, and it's exhausting and you're tired and you're about to like give up, but you do it anyway. You push through. That's what makes you go the next mile, the next step, whatever it is that you're doing. That's how you become better. That's how you actually grow. So even though it may not be fun all the time, there's still benefit for you. So do it poorly, but just do it. It's one of the best things. Exercise is great for failure. If you fail while you're exercising, that means you did it right. You actually push yourself to some sort of a limit, and now you're going to grow and be better. Because here's the thing, if you're not enjoying your workout, you're not likely to stick with it. And if you find some enjoyment out of this activity, then you're more likely to do it more and more and make it a part of your routine. It's kind of common sense because here's the thing. A lot of times we get into an exercise routine or we think we want to go and do this thing and we're going to become so good, so healthy. The thing is, sometimes the changes in the mirror don't happen immediately. One of the best things I remember from my bodybuilding days is just because you ate a salad doesn't mean you're going to get ripped. And just because you ate a cheeseburger today doesn't mean you're going to get fat. It all comes down to law of averages. It's all a ratio, right? It's how many times you did it over and over and over again, day in and day out. That's going to create the result, whether that's you getting in shape or whether that's you getting out of shape. But patience is super important because you got to give yourself time to actually make these changes, and they only come with consistency, and you need patience to be consistent. Water is so essential for your muscles because one of the biggest things that your muscles have within them is water. So the more water you have within your system, the more of that has a chance of getting in your muscles, and your muscles get nice big and you get full. So don't discount water. It's one of the best things that you can do for yourself, and you have to make sure you're drinking more water than any other type of liquid, and that includes carbonated water, flavored water, sodas, coffee, everything. Like I'm talking anything liquid, nothing but with just water. I'm so obsessed with water, I don't even leave my house without this or some form of water with me, whether I'm going even out for 30 minutes or just a quick walk around the block with my kid. I gotta have my water. If I don't have it, I feel like I'm missing out. And one of the other things that water really helps me with is it allows me to consciously take a break. A lot of times when I'll be sitting at my desk and I'm about to chew up on some like problem that I'm gonna solve, I'll be like, all right, hold on, let me just take a quick sip. I allow myself a break to think before I do stuff, before I have to get into something. I take a break and I sip some water. I don't know why, but that's for me has been like super helpful. Like I just love to take lots of little breaks many times to sip water. I also found that using a straw makes me drink water much faster, and I tend to just enjoy drinking water even more. One of the other things that's quite subtle about water is it actually changes your mood. If you're dehydrated, and most people don't even recognize this because you're sipping coffee, and coffee is fantastic, I like it, but at the same time, caffeine makes you dehydrated. And when you're dehydrated, you're likely to get more frustrated or annoyed at little things. So if you find yourself getting kind of on the edge, ask yourself, did I have a sip of water yet? If not, have some water. Obvious to know this, but your body's just not gonna function at its optimal pace if it's not gotten enough nutrients with water, right? When you're dehydrated, your system is just not functioning at its peak. It's functioning at a lower grade. So drinking enough water is gonna just make sure that your body, the system, which is super complex, is running smoothly. Like I said, 60% of your body is made up of water. And you want big muscles? Drink more water. You want to live healthier? Drink more water. You feel like you want to lose some weight? weight, drink more water. This is one of the best pillars you can do. It's the easiest one to adopt, in my opinion, of the 5. And I think anyone can do it. Even if they're having any kind of, setbacks in life, you can still drink water. If you're not properly hydrated, you can tend to overeat because your body, the way it signals to you for thirst and for hunger, it's the same mechanism. So you might end up eating more food because you're just thirsty. So one of the ways you can combat that is to have a glass of water before you sit down to eat. Or if you're properly hydrated, you're likely not to overeat in the first place. So food is essential for your survival. Like, you are what you eat. Your body is going to be made up of the food that you have consumed. That's literally how you grow from a little baby to a full-grown adult. It's because of the food that you've consumed from this planet. So nutrition is hyper important. It's one of the most important things, and it's also the most overlooked thing. Why? Because we've made food into a really social setting thing nowadays, right? We really look at our food as like, let's go grab a bite, a pizza, a burrito, whatever have you, right? We go and eat with friends and family because food is one of the most bonding activities that we do as humans. But what you have to keep in mind is there's a difference between consuming food and getting proper nutrition. And that's what I'm really here to talk about in this pillar. It's about nutrition. It's about, are you getting the right nutrients for yourself? If you're doing other pillars here, if you're focused on exercising and becoming better, then your nutrition makes all the difference, right? You have to make sure it's a balanced diet. It has protein, fats, and carbs. And of course it has, healthy amount of fruits and vegetables. And if you're going to have sugar, fruits are great. But I also understand that most people are not going to want to stick to a very, very strict diet. And that's okay. You don't have to start with this. There's levels to this, there's levels to making your nutrition better and better. I've talked about that in some of my other videos and how I'm actually leveling up myself in all 5 of these pillars at this point in my life because I know the basics. I've done them for years, but now I'm leveling them up so I can get even better. You want to make sure that you're not too restrictive on everything. Like, oh, I can't have anything. Then that means I don't have anything nice, because that's too much on the brain. When you deny yourself so much of something that you really want, you end up creating too much resistance. So we don't want that, but we also don't want you to be indulging and overindulging on things that are not necessarily good for you. Take a notebook or use one of the food tracking apps to track what it is that you've eaten. And you can do this for every single day. Do it for a week, do it for 2 weeks. And this is going to create a whole new level of self-awareness in you. You're going to actually know what you eat and how that affects you. Write down your mood and what your performance was like, especially if you're exercising, and what your day went like, okay? Record everything and do some self-work here, because this is going to really reveal to you what your energy levels are like based on what kind of food you eat. And you'll be able to see, am I just eating because I'm compulsive, or am I actually eating because I'm hungry? So am I actually getting nutrition, or am I just eating because I have nothing better to do? Anything I took away from my bodybuilding days is every good bodybuilder prioritizes sleep, because your muscles are not made in the gym. Yes, you tear them down, but the recovery, the repair of the tissue where it comes back bigger and stronger happens while you sleep, which is why if you're interested in getting in better shape and you're not taking time to get good sleep, you're really going to hurt yourself. You really want to make sure that that's something you prioritize. Another drawback of not having good sleep is that you're likely going to consume a lot of caffeine the next day, because you're going to wake up and life still has its responsibilities, and you're going to drink caffeine, have pre-workout, or have, Monster Energy drink, whatever it is. You're going to probably drink a lot more caffeine to get through your day. And it's a vicious cycle because you got poor sleep. Now you're drinking caffeine, not just in the morning, but in the middle of the day and at the end of the day, which is affecting your ability to fall asleep at night. And now you're in this vicious loop. I know so many people, including myself, we've all been in this loop before. It's not good, because at the end of the day, what you're doing is you're taking away more energy from the system than you're actually letting it put back in. You think you're gassing yourself up with caffeine, but ultimately it leaves you more and more tired and depleted. What you really need is sleep. So it goes without saying, if you didn't get good rest, you're likely to become annoyed, impatient, and you're likely to feel really shitty the next day. So a couple of things you can really incorporate is to wake up and go to bed at the same time. And it also makes a difference on when you ate. If you ate a big meal, it's likely that you're not going to sleep well, because your body has to get through that digestion. You can also practice one of the other pillars, which is meditation, right before bed, because one of the things that can do is it can help you calm down the chatter in your mind, the worries in your mind, which a lot of times people who can't fall asleep is because they're laying there at rest, but their mind is not at rest. And that's eating away at them falling or drifting away into sleep. And it's one of the best things you can do for yourself before you go to bed. And for most people, meditation is really challenging, and they're skeptical about the benefits of it. Like, why would it do anything for me? I was the same way, trust me. But one of the things that you have to remember about meditation, maybe nobody told you, is meditation is not a thing that you do. Meditation is a state that you are in a meditative state. And if you don't know what that means, it's because you've been chasing something that you think you were going to get from an activity rather than realizing that it's a shift, a very subtle shift in your awareness that takes place when you shift your focus and your attention from an outward perspective to what's happening within you. When you're able to notice what's happening within your mind, the sensations in your body, and you're able to actually become more aware of everything. It's a state. It's a state of being very free and non-judgmental and being able to just simply see things as they are without having to fight for labeling them and making them some other kind of way. When you're in a meditative state, you can be present. You're right here in the present moment, okay? And you can have that anytime. But the thing with meditation practice is that you have to do it a certain number of times to understand what that state is like and how you can quickly get to it. And if you don't know how to be that way, then you do want to practice meditation. That's why having a meditation practice is super, super important for your well-being. But once you know and once you recognize your awareness has been there many, many times, you can drop into a meditative state anytime. You don't necessarily need to meditate to feel meditative. That's one of the biggest misconceptions that I thought I would clarify right from the get, because meditation tends to be something that a lot of people find challenging, or they're even skeptical about, like, well, I did this meditation and it didn't really do anything for me, so I don't see the benefit in continuing this practice. It might not work for you. You have to go with an open mind. Maybe you tried a couple of meditations and they didn't work for you. Well, there's a lot of them out there, and there's some that are more transformative than others. I tend to tell people to start with some sort of breathing related exercise that has a meditative quality to it, because that's something that you can actually feel a shift in your breath. Like if you just take really deep 30 breaths, you will feel different. Like try it out. That's the simplest thing I can tell you. Do the test, give it a go, and see how you feel different. You might notice things better. You might feel a sense of clarity. But this is one of the things that I know that helped me, and I had no other way out. I didn't want to get on a load of medication. I didn't want to ignore what was happening to me. And one of the best things that helped me was to learn how to properly meditate. And it required some dedication, right? It's a devotion that you do to yourself. And maybe to, if you recognize it's really to a higher power, it's to the universe. You're surrendering to what is, to how things are, and you're recognizing that you no longer have, all the control in the world like you think you do in your thoughts. You actually have to surrender to it a lot of the times. The world is the way it is, and you have to change your outlook on things. That's really what helps manage things that cause anxiety and can help someone who is feeling very low and depressed. So if you feel like your life is too much, or you don't know anything about where you're going to go next, what you want to do, especially if you're young and you get anxious about that, maybe try meditating, because meditation could be a thing that leads you to that peace and that calm state, that space within you where you're not affected by thoughts and moving emotions. And maybe from your meditation, you can go to next step. Maybe you start writing to yourself at the end of your meditation when you're clear-headed. Maybe write down how you feel and what you want out of life and your wishes and your prayers, and then put them out into the universe, maybe at the end of your meditation. I mean, there's a lot of levels to this. So I really want you to go in it with an open mind and understand that meditation, or some form of practice that brings you into the present moment every single day, is super, super important for your mental and physical well-being, and it will make you a much, much better person. I still hold the claim, find me any successful person who doesn't do any 5 of these pillars and have their variation of them. I bet you can't, because everyone that I know who's ever existed through time has practiced these 5 things in one way or another, and their version of it might look different than what I've described, and they will look different than what you end up doing, but the reality is the outcome is the same. It makes people better. It makes people live a happier, more meaningful and rich life. And guess what? When you're in that state, you just naturally are going to make the life around you a better place to be. People are going to want to be around you more. You're going to be able to spread this good energy and this good vibe that you give off because you're in such a calm and meditative state. You've exercised, you're in good shape, your mind is clear, your body's healthy, you're drinking enough water, you've been well rested, you have proper nutrition, and you're doing everything you possibly can to set yourself up for the best fucking day ever. So if you're still tired after drinking your energy drink, or you're curious about what food you should eat, what exercise you should do, what kind of meditation you should do, you should check out some of my other videos. I've talked about many of these things in more detail, and I will continue to do that. I will continue to pound these 5 pillars into everybody's brain until I die, and then maybe my next generation will take over. But I seriously think everyone in the world has to practice these. And like I said, there's levels to this shit, right? You can start at the very basic level. It's okay. Humble yourself. Start with where you are, and don't worry about where someone else is and where they're going. Worry about where you are